Hello, welcome back to my channel. For the past 3 days now, I've been discussing on a topic: common mistakes in farming. It is a series, and today is the third day I've been discussing on this particular topic, and the subtopic I'll be talking about today is common mistakes in harvesting and storage. As a farmer, as a beginner, someone who is starting up, before you start, you have to put in place how you will harvest and store your produce. If you are a farmer already who wants to scale up, you also need to put in place where to store your produce after harvesting. This is one of the biggest mistakes most farmers make, and I don't want those who want to start up to also make these same mistakes. You have to sit down and figure out how to harvest and also store your produce when there is more supply in the market than demand. How do you cope? Most farmers don't figure out how to store their produce before scaling up. As a startup, before you scale up, as a farmer also, before you scale up, you must figure out how to store your produce. And before you scale up, you must make sure that your demand is more than your supply. The people demanding for your produce, your customer base is big. You have to make sure that your customer base is big. You have grown it to some extent that you now have more demand than you can supply. Then you can be able to scale up, so that when you produce, you will have more customers to buy your produce. Not because you just made a sale for the first time, or you planted and your produce, you sold all of them. Now you start thinking of scaling up. If you eventually scale up or expand your business without having more customers, without having more demand of your produce than you can supply, is going to affect you greatly, especially when you don't even have any plan to store your excesses. So in this case, how do you cope? What do you do when you have excesses, when your produce, you have more that you produce than you can supply? What do you do? Having a large customer base will prevent you from having post-harvest losses. You have to make sure your customer base, you have expanded, you have more people demanding for your produce than you can supply. Then in that case, you can now expand so that it doesn't affect you. You don't have harvest losses. Another mistake in harvesting and storage I want to talk about is knowing when to harvest. Harvesting at the right time. For example, you planted tomato in your farm. Now, if you want to harvest your tomatoes, you don't harvest when the tomato has overripe. Once the tomato has ripened, you just harvest it. The reason is because if you harvest when the tomato has overripe, by the time it gets to the market, by the time all the process of harvesting, packing it, sending it to the market, the tomato might get soft or get squashed on the way. By the time it gets to the market, it won't be presentable again. You have to harvest once the tomato ripe. You just harvest at that particular time, so that when you get to the market after all the processes, the tomato will still be strong and also command market price. So that is the reason why you need to harvest and notice when to harvest. Know the right time to harvest your tomatoes. If you harvest when the tomato has overripe, it's going to affect you. By the time it passes all the processes and gets to the market, it won't be good anymore. It is good you monitor the maturity of your crop. That is why in my last video I told you, if you want to be a farmer, be a good farmer. Don't farm and go away. Don't farm and then tell someone to look after it for you or whatsoever. You have to be visiting your farm, know how your crops are doing. By doing that, you'll be able to detect when you have your crops is due for harvesting, so that you harvest at the right time. You have to be closer to your crops to monitor the maturity time, so that you can be able to harvest at its peak. The reason you have to monitor and harvest at the right time is to maximize quality, so that the quality of your produce will be good by the time it gets to the market. Another thing a farmer have to know is value addition. Adding value to your produce. No matter the area of farming you are into, you have to know how to add value to that particular crop or animal or whatever you are into. You have to know how to add value to it. When there is more supply in the market than demand, there will be glut. You see everybody in, when you go to the market, you will see that those who brought in tomato is more, pepper is more, and there is less demand of those particular produce. What do you do as a farmer? This is where value addition comes in. You have to know how to add value to your produce. Is it your tomato? You can dry your tomatoes. Is it your pepper? You can dry them. So these are the things you need to know and do to prevent you from post-harvest losses. As a startup, I urge you to implement all these I have taught in this series. Watch all the videos in this series so that you will understand and know how to cope as someone who is starting a farm or who just started, even as a farmer, so that you can know how to guide yourself and know what to do at the right time. If you watch this video up to this moment, it means you find value from this video. Give me a thumbs up. If this is your first time of seeing my face on your screen, do well to subscribe, like, and share. Also, I have more people watching my video than subscribing. What are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button and join this great community. So I'll be ending this video right here. See you in my next video. Have a nice day.